everybody. Thanks for getting up to join us. I believe you will not regret it. This promises to be a hugely entertaining race, certainly if the grid is anything to go by. We have the three drivers who have dominated this World Championship, all starting from the back of the grid for once, while at the front we have Jenson Button, who has a great chance today from the front row, and there's his teammate Takuma Sato, who certainly set Japanese hearts fluttering yesterday, fifth on the grid. To make things even better for the capacity 155,000 Japanese crowd here today, we've got a Toyota and a Honda on the front row of the grid. The Toyota in the form of Ralf Schumacher, who snatched the pole from Jenson Button by just 4/100ths of a second. Well, the main business still to be resolved in this championship, in these final two races, is the Constructors' Championship, in which Renault trail McLaren by 2 points. And certainly with Alonso, Raikonen and Montoya all at the back of the grid today, the pressure really is on Giancarlo Fisichella, as Martin was saying to him on the grid. He's third place after probably the best lap we saw yesterday in qualifying, very committed in a very wet conditions, and he has to go out and get the maximum 10 points for the Renault team. He's certainly got a faster car than Jenson Button. You can see on the left of your screens there on the front row of the grid, but Button in turn has a faster car than this man, Ralf Schumacher. But if Fisichella has any kind of problem today, whether it be a sticking nozzle on a refueling stop, a poor start, any problem with a back marker, then for sure Jenson will be ready to pounce to grab his first Grand Prix victory. 99 Grand Prix starts, and it will be the first win for a British driver in 49 races. That is the front half of the grid, a very unfamiliar list of names, certainly for those of you who've been following this year's World Championship. Other standout laps yesterday in qualifying from Christian Klien, and particularly David Coulthard, who was the first man out on the track. A real journey into the unknown for him on the intermediate tyres on a wet track. Well, I can tell you that to help Jenson today, you certainly get the feeling that that team is well prepared. Honda have let it be known unofficially that they don't really care about the Chinese Grand Prix and what happens in terms of engine penalties. Jenson's on a new engine for this Grand Prix. Of course, you have to have an engine last 2 Grand Prix now. But my understanding is that Honda are going to give Jenson maximum revs here today for the race to give him a real chance of tackling Fisichella. That means he will not have to turn down that engine. He'll be able to give it maximum boost bananas throughout the Grand Prix. Let's hope it's another thing that contributes to a success story for Jenson today. Well, what about the guys at the back then? What can they achieve? McLaren have won 9 of the last 13 races. For sure, the McLaren, Martin, is the fastest car out there. But I was looking back through last year's Grand Prix. Rubens Barrichello started last year in the best car in the field at the time, from towards the back of the grid. And after 5 laps, he was 22 seconds behind the race leader, his teammate Michael Schumacher. And that's basically a pit stop distance, isn't it? 22 seconds in Schumacher's pocket. So it's very, very difficult for them to come through.
Yeah, it's called the field spread, and of course normally it only really applies to the back markers, although the back markers today have potential race-winning cars underneath them, as you rightly say, James. But these guys at the front, really, in a way, they've got to just fall into line wherever they end up in the first corner and get on with the motor race if they want to be the main challengers of the afternoon. If they squabble too much, there are a lot of people further down the field hoping that Fisichella does not get in front of the field into the first corner.
Mechanics leave the grid then. The penultimate Grand Prix of the 2005 Formula One World Championship will be going off on its parade lap in a moment. Ralf Schumacher there is the pole sitter, with Jenson Button alongside him, Toyota and Honda on the front row of the grid. We've also got Giancarlo Fisichella, the danger man as far as Schumacher and Button are concerned. He's in third on the grid, and there is Takuma Sato.
We've got a track temperature of 34 degrees. It is green. It has been very much washed and cleaned up, as we've said. I think half the field out there are going to be thinking, oh, the car's working quite nicely today, it's underneath me. And the other half are going to be feeling in the first few laps, what on earth is this thing? It's windy, it's unknown conditions. They've really not done a lot of work on the particular tyres they're on here today. This is a challenging racetrack. It's one of the older style of tracks where it's actually quite narrow. The curves are a little bit unpredictable. It's bumpy bumpy in places. It's a great challenge to drive this racetrack, and I think some of them will have a balance and others won't. You could see very disparate performances out there this afternoon.
The cars go then here through the S's sequence, one of the unique features of this racetrack. Certainly it's one of the most challenging sequences of corners of all of Formula One, but there's only one line through there, and I was talking a moment ago about how the field spreads out here dramatically in the first few laps of the Grand Prix. That's because there is only one line through there. There's Jarno Trulli starting from the pit lane, having set no time yesterday in qualifying. He spun off the track, as did Thiago Montero. But as I say, it's that S's sequence of corners, that's the reason why the field spreads out so much in the early stages. As Martin was saying, the track is green, all the rubber has been washed off, and one of the stories I think today will also be how the drivers are able to manage their tyres, because some will have more degradation, more graining of the tyres, and how long that phase lasts, how quickly the tyres come back afterwards will be critical.
Yes, they're all on brand spanking new tyres, and that's different to normal, because usually, of course, they've done an out lap, a hard qualifying lap, and then an in lap, and then the lap to the grid that they've now done on these tyres as well. But that means they've had a heat cycle. Overnight, the compound changes slightly, so if you're anywhere near a tyre problem with blistering or graining of any sort, it's likely to come much earlier with a brand new set like that, so we'll have to watch out for that.
Yeah, graining, just to those of you who don't know, is where the little balls of rubber start to come off the grooves and the top of the tyre and roll across, and in that phase the tyre has less grip than it does when it's new. After a little while, 5, 6, 7 laps, those little bits of rubber just disappear and the tyre starts to get into a good rhythm, but it can take longer than that, and if it does, you could be a sitting duck in the early phase of the Grand Prix.
It's a slow warm-up lap, and that means I think the pressures will be getting very low. It's a very slow warm-up lap that Ralf Schumacher's taken them around. And I saw a bit of water under the bridge, under the crossover. This is a figure-of-8 racetrack, but it's not really on the racing line. I don't think it'll be an issue. Well, I know it won't be an issue in the race.
This is a 3.6-mile racetrack, 53 laps here this afternoon for a total of 191 miles, which is a unique racetrack in so many ways. It's the only figure-8 track we have here in the world. And the cars cross over each other just around the area of the 130R corner, which we'll see once they get racing. But certainly right up there amongst the favourites with all of the Grand Prix drivers, along with Turkey, which has now established itself as being very popular, and of course Spa-Francorchamps. This one is right up there in the top of the hit parade.
It'll be interesting to see how Takuma Sato keeps his head under the immense pressure that's going on. Not got a seat for next year. The fans here are very much behind him, and he's right in the... And look at the smoke coming out of the back of Button's car. Hopefully that's just some oil and that surplus oil around the exhaust pipes and etc., because that's a lot of smoke.
Well, we've seen it before, haven't we, Martin? We've seen a lot of smoke coming out of Jenson Button's car, and it's gone on to finish the race. Look at that. Other drivers think he's probably on fire. He isn't. Here come the lights then. When they go out, we'll be racing at Suzukaa. And it's... go! Cracking start by Coulthard. Look at him coming through the middle. He's already in front of Sato. Fisichella is in front of Button. That's terrible news for Jenson Button. And Coulthard is having a go as well. Christian Klein is also in the mix. 2 cars are off the racetrack. One of them, though, is the local hero Takuma Sato. The other is the Ferrari of Rubens Barrichello. That's terrible news for local hero Takuma Sato. But at the front, a poor getaway for Jenson Button. Has that scuppered his plans here for his first Grand Prix?
Be interesting to see if Coulthard made it around the outside of Button in turn 1. I'd be surprised if he did. It's a long way round there. Sato with his hand out of the cockpit, but it did look to me as if he just ran wide. But maybe he got a push somewhere in there, but Button is ahead of Coulthard. It's 3rd and 4th for the Brit. Schumacher leads critically easily from Giancarlo Fisichella. There's Button, Coulthard, Klein, and then Webber, Villeneuve, Michael Schumacher, Kartikayan for Jordan, Alonso up to P10. Alonso P10?
Michael Schumacher, did you see that pass he put there on Jacques Villeneuve? There he is, Michael Schumacher. There is Villeneuve. A lot of action here. We're looking at leaders, which is a shame because there's all manner of stuff going on behind, and we should certainly watch the chicane. That's a Barrichello with a puncture, looks like it, to the left rear tyre. But Alonso has gone from 16th on the grid up to 10th place. Someone's off there, one of the Red Bull cars.
Klein, but he manages to get back on. There's now instead of gravel there. And look at Alonso, he's just flying through the pack. I think he's up to about 7th already. And a McLaren, Kimi Raikonen, straight across the chicane. There's a route back on. But look at them, they're streaming past him. Bad mistake there. And there's a car heavily in the barrier on the left-hand side. It's the McLaren. It must be Montoya. Montoya off the road. 2 wheels missing, look. And a big shunt. He'll be okay. Surely the safety car will have to be out there to recover that. It's in a critical position in terms of the exit of the triangle chicane. Safety car is standing by. It must be deployed, surely. And that will help also those coming through from the back, although one of them from the back is heavily in the hedge.
Well, this changes everything. It changes everything from the Constructors' Championship point of view, because one of the McLarens is definitely not going to score any points here this afternoon. But also it means, as Martin said, with the safety car standing by but not yet deployed, if they put the safety car out, that will really help Alonso and Raikkonen. It's been deployed now. That's great news also for Rubens Barrichello here, who has come down having a puncture. He makes a pit stop. Looks like other mechanics are ready. McLaren and BAR as well, ready for their drivers.
So many mistakes on the first lap. We've seen exemplary driving this year, brilliant driving by this field of world-class Grand Prix drivers. But I think a lot of these incidents, James, were all about cold tyres and very low pressures after that slow warm-up lap.
Yeah, well, we said it was going to be part inspiration and part improvisation, this Grand Prix. A lot of unknowns, and it seems to have caught a few people out. We will be back in a moment when the safety car comes in.
Absolutely assured calm down here at the McLaren garage, but crucial for Renault, James, because Alonso cannot seem to pass Webber.
Well, we'll wait and see on that one, Ted, but let me remind you of the context of this battle, because the Constructors' Championship, the only thing left to play for in this World Title Championship, because obviously, as we know, Alonso has already wrapped up the driver's title. Well, Renault trail McLaren here by 2 points. So if Fisichella's leading this Grand Prix, that's 10 points. Raikkonen second, that's 8. Alonso is fourth, that is 5 points. But all of that could really change here if they can get past each other. If Raikkonen, who's now only 3 seconds behind Giancarlo Fisichella, can close up and pass. If Alonso, who's less than a second behind Mark Webber, can pick up an extra point here or there, it could make all the difference in the Constructors' Championship, particularly as Montoya will score nothing. He's out of the race. Look at this, though. Alonso's going for it down the inside. On the grass, 2 wheels. Fernando Alonso. What a brilliant move once again. Another fantastic pass.
Stunning. Alonso is totally fearless today. He got a better run out of the chicane, picked up the slipstream. Webber thought he'd covered him off, so Alonso took a little bit of grass to give himself the extra space he needed. He's up to P3, but Fisichella can't respond. He's 6/10 slower in the first sector on this current lap than Raikkonen. Raikkonen is just reeling him in. Fisichella seems like he mentally had this, was standing on the top step of the podium, and now just cannot respond. But look at this from Fernando Alonso. Incredible bravery. Reminded me of when Michael Schumacher put him on the grass going down to Stowe, and he just hung on in there. But they didn't make the pass on that occasion. But did he get through this time? It's been a great drive from Webber too. But look, there is Fisichella, and now there is the flying Raikkonen. And as soon as Fisichella starts to see him in his mirrors, then he's under extra pressure.
He certainly is. 5 to go here then. 4 at the end of this lap. They're going to cross the line any time now. 4 laps to go under the view of that huge Ferris wheel, the giant funfair behind this racetrack here at Suzuka, designed back in the early 1960s, home to the Japanese Grand Prix since 1987. It's seen some fantastic races, but I can't think of any better than this one. 53 laps of this Grand Prix have been scintillating really from start to finish. Fisichella leading leading Raikkonen by just 1.8 seconds, and look at how he's eaten into his lead. Over a second a lap for the last 3 laps. And what amazing bravery by Fernando Alonso. He's already wrapped up the Drivers' Championship, and yet he's still taking huge risks for a podium finish here, for another point for his team in the Constructors' Championship. What commitment, what bravery.
Well, when Kimi gets there, and this back marker, the Minardi might just play into this equation here, but when Kimi arrives, he's got to just drill him straight away. If he ends up settling in behind him and getting in that turbulent air, he's going to struggle. There's not enough time left. But look, Fisichella's got to clear the Minardi down the back straight here. He must, and he will, I think, get past the Minardi. And if he has to hesitate on the way into 130R, Raikkonen's going to be right with him. And look, the Minardi moves to the left and blocks Fisichella, and he's also going to block Raikkonen on the exit of 130R. But Raikkonen, the net winner there, and Fisichella almost off the racetrack as he went to the inside to pass the Minardi, and the Minardi decided to yield at that time, and that's played beautifully into Kimi Raikkonen's hands.
Certainly has. Down the pit straight then with just 3 laps to go. Raikkonen has taken 1.3 seconds on that lap out of Giancarlo Fisichella, and now the 20-second lead of a few laps ago is down to just half a second, 2 car lengths, and well, you'd have to say that Kimi Raikkonen is looking very, very good here. When and where will he attack Giancarlo Fisichella, who's just struggling with the pace, frankly? 1:33.717 is 0.6 of a lap slower than his teammate Alonso's doing at this point in the Grand Prix. Clearly Fisichella perhaps not quite happy with the tyres, not quite happy with something in the balance of the car. It's not really under him in the way that the McLaren is under Kimi Raikkonen here today. The 2 Renaults are going to be on the podium with the McLaren, but what will the order be?
We've got Coulthard catching Button as well quite quickly for 5th and 6th. It's all going on down the field, but now Kimi is in that dirty air, and you can see the car moving around in Spoon Corner. But look, he should get a nice tow from this position and just haul himself nicely up to the back of the Renault, looking at 130R, and the McLaren is mighty. Look at the slipstream he's getting down there, the Renault hitting the ground hard, and what would he do? What are you going so defensive for? That wasn't necessary at all. And there was Fisichella defending some fresh air.
Was interesting though, did you see Fisichella on the left? His throttle was flat through 130R corner. Raikkonen lifted, but he's coming down the inside now. He's lining him up for trying to pass down the outside into the first corner. Well, he's just letting him know he's there. I think Fisichella's well aware of that. Very interesting to compare how they're working the throttle and the brake, these two. Fisichella lifting off earlier than Raikkonen into turn 3. You see, up the sequence of up the hill. Only 1 line through here. No chance of passing through here. But Raikkonen will be very keen to get as close as he can through the spoon curve, turns 13 and 14, in order to do what he did last time, get really good tow out of the straight and into 130R corner, the closing stage of this lap.
Well, Fisichella mustn't pull that trick again. He's got to take the better line through the chicane, otherwise Raikkonen's going to have him down into turn 1. But he obviously was expecting an attack, but clearly Raikkonen was way too far behind. And that's the concertina effect of a hairpin you're seeing there, as the driver in front is always going to be on the throttle a car length earlier, and with the amount of power these things have got, begins to pull away. Look at Raikkonen, he's just all over him like a rash. He's got so much more grip and balance and confidence. But this is the exit of Spoon again then, and Fisichella up the inside. He's now moved to the outside, the racing line, and Raikkonen is absolutely hauling him in. And again, he goes defensive when he doesn't need to. Puts him out of shape then for the exit then, as we saw earlier on. Has he got enough traction to keep the McLaren behind him? He's really left himself to be a sitting target now. He'll have to go defensive down the inside. He'll have to go tighter than that. Oh, and they nearly touch. Can Raikkonen sweep in? Yes, he can. Brilliant.
What a brilliant move! Side by side down the straight. Grand Prix racing at its absolute finest. Kimi Raikkonen sweeps through to take the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. He started from 17th place. Let's enjoy this again.
And he moves to the right to force him to the left-hand side, but there's so much more grip there, and then it's Fisichella facing the tighter line into the corner. But
Prix victory, the 7th of this season, and what a year he has had, and what an amazing Japanese Grand Prix he has had as well. Fighting his way through, it seemed as though he lost his chance when he got tucked up behind Jenson Button and Mark Webber, and Fisichella had a 20-second advantage over him, but he's managed to whittle it down. Brilliant strategy this afternoon by the McLaren team, and here he comes then. Takuma Sato there has caused a few problems this afternoon, but not as Raikkonen sweeps through to lap him, and one of the most dramatic Grand Prix in living memory comes to a close with Kimi Raikkonen, the winner. Absolutely sensational performance. In second place will be Giancarlo Fisichella. Raikkonen loves that. And in third place, Fernando Alonso. Another good shout for drive of the day for Mark Webber. We haven't seen much of him, but fourth place for him in the Williams. Jenson Button, the early promise, didn't work out for him. He's going to come through in fifth. Coulthard sixth. Michael Schumacher seventh. And Ralf Schumacher, the pole sitter here for Toyota, ending up in eighth place. I mean, I would hate to be you and have to make the decision for driver of the day, because we have seen some of the finest driving for many years. Raikkonen outstanding, Alonso outstandingly brave, Webber fantastic to get that car up to that place in the grid. Button didn't quite have it, the pace when he needed it from the BAR. Coulthard scintillating from him as well. Who's it going to?
Well, this is year 9 for F1 ITV, and I have to say this is one of the most enjoyable races that I've certainly commentated on. Stunning driving, all sorts of drama and action, but you can only give it surely to this man, Raikkonen. He got the job done all the way through. He was compromised earlier on in the day, kept his nose clean. I mean, Alonso's 2 overtakes were sensational, but he's ended up 17.5 seconds adrift of them. He's behind Raikkonen. So for me, Raikkonen just edges it, but sensational, brilliant skills. What a pleasure it's been to watch that race.
An absolute pleasure, especially when you consider that Raikkonen actually started behind Fernando Alonso. They were 16th and 17th on the grid, and they end up first and third. Raikkonen first place, Alonso in third, and Fisichella, who started third on the grid, finishes in second place in the Renault. So 10 points for McLaren, whilst the Renault team take 14, and that means there's still, I believe, 2 points between them going into the final Grand Prix. Wait for the tables to come up, but my basic maths in my head seems to suggest that that's the situation. So it's basically Montoya's crash has been more or less negated by the amazing performance of Kimi Raikkonen. There you can see then the top 10. Klian, having qualified in fourth place, finishing out of the points, and just showing again the value of experience. David Coulthard finishing 20 seconds ahead of his teammate, and a really fantastic performance by David Coulthard.
Yeah, he was just a couple of seconds behind Jenson at the end of the day. Another race where the BAR Honda has tended to float backwards as the laps unfold. Klian 9th, Massa, Villeneuve there. Massa beating Villeneuve for the first of the Sauber. Barrichello back in 12th after, well, he didn't really lose out at the beginning in a way because he caught back up under the safety car situation, but a poor weekend for Rubens Barrichello.
There you can see Montoya not classified, had a crash on the early stages of the Grand Prix, and in a funny sort of way, Marty, with Fisichella the